All right, evening everybody. Yeah, as Paul said, I'm from a company called Mirabilis. We're engineering underwriters, so we sell an intangible. I think most of the people around the room here sell a tangible product, something that the client can see. So we're in a bit of a difficult circumstance, a bit of a different one. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on what we do, where we come from. We started in 2006. We're the largest engineering underwriter, so the largest engineering insurance company on the continent. Just some figures there. Importantly, we can write projects up to 350 million. All right, so we can write projects up to $350 million and a sum insured with our own capacity. So we don't have to externalize that. Our territorial scope, we're talking Africa, but we do write beyond as well. And we see that need quite often with our clients when they want to expand their networks. Very quickly, what do we offer? Obviously the underwriting, so it's tailor-made. We look at the different projects and typically the projects that we've been talking about this evening. We would underwrite them, issue policy, and that's really all you're getting from us is a promise to pay should something go wrong. So we don't leave you with anything tangible. Training, we go in country, we try and uplift the local industry. I'll talk a bit about that again just now. And then obviously risk assessment and management. So before we take on a big project or if there's been a claim, we'll go out there. Business partners in Africa. So this is where Sanlam, Santam are represented. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see that it's a comprehensive list. And in fact, this is a little bit outdated. But over most of the continent, Santam do have representation. Just so you get an idea of what we do, because I can talk until I'm blue in the face, you won't understand. So this is what we typically would cover. So you're building a dam, a road, a bridge, water treatment plants, geez, I haven't got this right, open cast mining, any resources, and pipelines. So we insure, and I'll show you some things that go wrong just now, we insure all of these type of projects. Another one, this is the Sasol headquarters in Sandton. That's one of our projects at the moment. And then the Discovery building, I think that's about 3 billion rand. We're insuring that as well. All right, so that's on the contract works. On the yellow metal side on the plant, this is typically, I mean, you all know what this is. So it's really like a motor policy for construction equipment. Anything from graders down to TBMs, as was used in Lesotho, in the Lesotho Highlands. All right, just some, where do we get most of our losses from? So if you look on the building type of projects, most of it is red, and red is fire. So just a brief overview of where we pick up most of our claims. You can see on roads, obviously natural perils, all of the storms that we're having at the moment aren't great for our industry. You know, I used to be a civil engineer and work on roads, and in those days we used to say, it's raining, die padwerkers gaan huis toe. Now we say it's raining, the insurers go out and we go and see what's going on. Wet risks, that would be your harbours, dams, and then bridges. Unfortunately, the yellow is design. And we're seeing a marked increase in that over the last few years. All right, so just an example. This was a hospital down in the Cape. 6 weeks before handover, the guys were putting the waterproofing on the roof, and this was the result. So someone left a waterproofing torch burning while he went and had his coffee, came back and, yeah, say no more. This Mozambique, this was in the previous floods in 2011. And just so you can see the force of the water, you see the size of the rocks that actually get washed down in these roads, in these big storms. This was the recent bridge collapse on the M1. Fortunately, we had limited involvement on that one. And then a drag line, so you can see the boom is just a crumpled pile of metal. And then a dozer. Fire damage on these is probably one of our biggest issues. Over here you can see, in fact, the operator in this case actually died in the accident. And then this one here, there's a nice before picture, a during picture, and an after picture. One of our biggest losses was one of these machines, and it was about 80 million rand just for one item. Yeah, yeah. It says, if you look carefully, it says cougar over there. Yeah. Hope there's no one from Ford here. All right, and then just an excavator. Okay, so that's really our business. So that's what we do. If you want more detail, happy to chat to you afterwards. Paul's talking about, we're going to give you insights on the local countries. We don't have a great deal of insight into the country. All I can tell you is where our involvement comes in. And we often talk to our clients and we say, financier puts up that bridge in Mozambique. That bridge, I think, was about $700 million, the whole structure, maybe just over. The financiers sit for years and they plan that project, and they look at drawings and they look at designs. They come to us 2 days before. Our financial risk is exactly the same, and we are expected to give a quote and issue a policy in 2 days. So it would be nice in our industry to know about these things a little bit sooner, but you also don't want to get to know about it too soon, because if it doesn't come to fruition, and I'll show you one of those just now, it also wastes a lot of time and effort and expenditure. Anyway, Tanzania, population 50 million, GDP, non-life premium 256 million. Now just to compare that, in South Africa we're looking at about $10 billion in short-term insurance premium. So there's a lot of development that can happen here, and you'll see similar figures in Mozambique just now. Plus minus 30 insurance companies. In South Africa we have well over 100. We've probably got about 200 insurance companies, life and non-life. Capital requirement to start a company, an insurance company, $700,000. Not too bad, considering SA it's about $1 million. Okay, I was last up in Tanzania end of last year, and the big news was he wasn't really that new at that stage, was President Magufuli, who apparently has come with a really novel way of running a country. There's no corruption. He's going to spend money where it should be spent. One of the issues is he's cancelled the celebration for Independence Day because he thinks that's a waste of money. Rather use the money, develop new schools. Listed corruption as the first problem. So he's really come with a fresh breath of air. So we're hoping that he's going to be instrumental in changing things. So just now I spoke about getting involved in a project too early. This is a typical project we had. I won't mention the name because it's still on the drawing board, I guess. But it was an energy project, gas-fired power generation. Was going to be used gas turbines coming from Scotland. Looked great. We were rushed. Please underwrite this thing urgently, and that was in May 2012. Need confirmation of insurance terms urgently. August 2013, correspondence still ongoing. We need to provide terms by close of business. April 2014, client is flying into SA, please. 21st of Feb 17, 2 days ago, revised quote, very urgent, and now the project's changed. Now it's new gas turbines. Why are you delaying us, giving us a quote? So these are some of the issues that we deal with. Not complaining, just saying. All right, another one, port extension, berth 1 and 7. I think you all know about this. A 35-month project period, 100 million. Our quotes are out. We hope to win that. Another one, niobium resource. It's a superconductor. Unfortunately, as you showed us just now, this hill is also going to be gone in a few years' time. Project $60 million up in Tanzania. Gold plant upgrade. This was one a couple of years ago that we did. This was on the North Mara grid. Okay, sorry, I am going quick because I know we are short of time, and Paul gave me 15 minutes, I think. All right, so just general from our perspective in the insurance world, how do we see Tanzania? As I said earlier, we see huge opportunity. It's a very much an untapped insurance market, both on the construction side where we focus, but also in general. Sanlam have an office up there. It's branded as Sanlam General. So all of the expertise that we sit with in Johannesburg we avail to them up there. At the moment, just what are we seeing? We're seeing various transmission line projects. There's got the Kenya, Tanzania interconnection lines, various roads, railways, and then obviously there's going to be a huge need for your housing and your infrastructure. So that's East Africa in general is a market we're looking at, specifically Tanzania though. All right, Mozambique, similar sort of figures. Non-life premium, 155, again compared to SA that I mentioned just now, $10 billion. Capital requirement, 500,000. So we've got a couple of insurance companies. We've got about 20 at the moment operating up there. And obviously the recent news has been Cyclone Dineo. And to be honest, in 2011, we saw the floods. We know what's possible over there. So we have been cautious as engineering or construction underwriters. We do have access to various stats and graphics like this. We've got special tools that we use to evaluate different parts of the country. This was one that we were involved in. If you've been up to Maputo, you would have seen this definitely. The Rani Towers and the Radisson Hotel combined sum insured was about $160 million. All right, then this one's been well spoken about, and I'm pleased that it was raised. I see I've got it spelled with a K, you had it with a C. I'm not sure. Okay. And I'm also very pleased to hear that there's no reference on Google to this, because I'm upset that we never heard about that road. The bridge we certainly heard about, and in fact you mentioned that it was originally awarded to Mozambique. At that stage we would have been the preferred insurers. They're one of our clients that we cover. However, it was awarded to the Chinese. And if we're talking about threats and opportunities in Africa, certainly the Chinese we see as a huge threat. They come in, they bring their own plant, they bring their own labor force, they bring their own equipment, they build the project, and they move on. And it's similar in Angola. There was a company, Odebrecht, who do a lot of work in Angola, and they do exactly the same. They import all of their machinery, all of their staff, build a project, and they're gone. So they leave nothing behind besides the project. And while I saw those pictures of your Chinese built road, it looks great. I'd love to see a comparison in about 5 years' time, what the road looks like. Anyway, so the last time I was there, this is pretty much what the bridge looked like. This was the graphic, one of the graphics we got at original underwriting stage. So one of the things that we try and do when we go in country is we try and impart skills, and we try and grow the local market. So we won't go in and pull a business out of Africa. A lot of people refer to doing business in Africa as what can we get out of it. I think the trick is to form a partnership. And I think you mentioned that earlier, Duncan, is go in there, form a partnership, and that list of companies that I showed you earlier that sometimes are involved in, that's exactly what we've done. So we don't want to pull everything out of the country. We want to leave as much in. There is a downside to that, because eventually they'll be upskilled to the extent and have enough capacity to the extent that they actually don't need us anymore, but I'll be retired by then, I hope. So I won't worry about that. What else is there? Oh, also on that road, if I can just tie into your story there, Paul, that one of the challenges we have here is that we underwrite and we see risk in a certain way. When the Chinese go, and I'm not just the Chinese, but when a project is done in Africa, it's usually a design and build. So when we ask for underwriting information, we want to know how many culverts there are, what's the length of the bridges, what's the length of the span in the case of a transmission line, what is the flood return level of a river that you're building a bridge over. When we do this kind of work in Africa, there's nothing like that. Okay? Unfortunately, we generally only find that out after a claim, that there is no record of flood lines and that. But it's a major mind shift for us that we're going in, we're basically underwriting blindly. We don't know what the risks are until the contractor actually gets to that. So he gets a track, he's going to change it into tar. We don't know how, he doesn't know how, but he knows it's going to cost him about $200 million, and we must insure him based on that. So it's a bit of a mind shift for us as well. But we are getting there. All right. Another issue we're having in Maputo at the moment is a lot of the buildings were completed 40 years ago when the Portuguese left. I'm sure it was 40 years ago. The Portuguese left. They left everything as it was. In some instances, they filled the lift shafts with concrete. But be that as may, you've got these half-built buildings. They've been standing for 40 years, 30 years. The steel maybe is corroded, rusted. So we don't know what condition that's in. But as part of the city regeneration, they are fixing up all of these buildings. And yeah, I hope that was very quick and short. Thank you.